Hello, gorgeous pagan people. My name is Eric, and welcome to the first of two subs weeks this month as we celebrate the anniversary of the channel. It is also the anniversary of my first Masonic initiation today, so that's kind of cool how that lined up. Anyway, on to the intro and this week's question. This week, we're answering the question, what are fairies? The full text, of course, is in the description below, but Valerial asks, may I ask, in your opinion, in your experience or opinion, what are fairies? Spirits of nature, elementals, genuis locii, thought forms, gods, taking into account the Tuatha de Dannan, a race living in a parallel dimension to us? It seems such a broad term. Thanks. So to that I would say, yes, mostly. But more than that, I kind of hesitate to speak on fairies because most of what I know about them comes from like UPG, so unverified personal gnosis, so it's got no like historical basis, the stuff I would say. All I could say confidently is that from a Solomonic perspective, fairies would be considered a kind of sub-lunar spirit. So in Solomonic cosmology, all the spirits are associated with the planets, right? And since it's a form of like astral magic, but Earth isn't included as like a planet of its own, so everything earthly is considered under the moon or sub-lunar. So all of your elementals and your local land spirits, they would all be classified that way in like your Solomonic worldview. Even some of the pop culture spirits I work with, I consider sublunar as well. So like Digimon are usually based on animals and tied to elemental concepts like the ocean or the mountains or whatever. So they become earthly as well, or sublunar, even though they have like their own little world in the etheric realms. It is important, though, that we consider the cultural lens from which fairies and fae lore comes to us, like Digimon aren't fairies just because they're sublunar. When I think of the fae, though, I tend to think of them as like a uniquely European, and in my mind, mostly Irish thing. So it's important that we don't just equate the fae with dryads or landvatir or orishas or whatever else, because they're all coming to us through completely different cultural lenses about what a nature spirit consists of. It's also important to understand that like fae lore changes based on when and where you're looking, and because these are like folk beliefs, even going to the next town or district could yield you completely different lore and beliefs. So the word fairy is kind of polysemous. It's been used to describe like spirits of the dead and fallen angels and all sorts of things. So I think it's just important that we sort of clarify the way that we're using terms and be mindful when we're using terms that are culturally loaded. There's a slippery slope there that I think we should be careful of. If you're interested in fae lore, though, and want to learn more about it, I'd probably say to check out Laura O'Brien's channel. So she's a Irish pagan priestess and has tons of videos about like fae lore and lots of stuff on the Morrigan. I'll leave a link in the description. But beyond that, I'm not really sure what more I could say on this topic. So this is a shorter one from me, but I hope that it's been helpful. And until I speak to you next week, I hope you're all well. Mwah. Bye!